Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have everybody with us tonight. Dave Regal here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth. You're watching Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series action live here at Daytona International Speedway. You'll have to forgive us for our delay tonight, as unfortunately the real world came in yet again to bite us right in the bum, if you will. Lap 2, though, so we didn't miss a whole lot of racing. As right now, your race leader is Mr. R.P. Allen, and Preston leading Mike Wright, Lauren Jones, and Gabriel Lafreniere here on the low side. Looks like a lot of this field has already gone to the low side tonight. So we're going to get right back to the action here. Ron Fitting on the high side. He holds it all together. It looks like if we look back here with Ron Fitting, we're going to zoom in right to him. Or not. You have to forgive us as we're trying to... Oh! Fitting drops down the low line. Right in front of Ethan Ball. And Alexander Gangler in the 8 car. Looks like Tom McGee back here in the 47 machine. He's got the lead of his own pack just in front of Dan Morgan and Matt Mackin and Matt Metler. They are still side by side up on top of this pile. Once again, I want to apologize for us being delayed tonight. The real world came in and got us pretty good tonight. But taking a look at Gabriel Lafreniere here working the low side just in front of John Crowe Sr. As we can see, the 34, that's Seba Cornez making his return here to the MNN ranks, as I know that many of us missed him over the last few weeks, as Seba was absent from our ranks. And I'll tell you what, I am glad that he's back because, as everybody knows, he gets the show. Of course, a big fan of the Dan Le Batard show with Stugatz down there in South Beach. So glad to have him back. Taking a closer look here at Florida native Lauren Jones from New Smyrna Beach. He's got the 11 all wound up and running in 5th position. The driver that I'm watching all night long going to be Mr. Tony Burt, as Tony started from the pits. It appears he's running all by his lonesome, but I'm sure by the end of the night we're going to see the Hedgesville, West Virginia native up here challenging for the lead, as he is so competitive and a winner at Talladega Super Speedway. And of course, Super Speedway racing, a lot different from anything that we get to see in our sport. I mean, for starters, these drivers, many of them throttle all the way out. No questions about it, especially if you're leading this pack. Like right now, R.P. Allen is being used as what's called a fuel pig, and he's got that throttle mashed to the floor. Meanwhile, though, Mike Wright just behind him, pushing him along. He's probably more at like half throttle, only because those two cars are now going to be drafting and working together. Glad to have all of you with us in the YouTube.com live chat. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. This is the biggest race of the summer to me. When we go Super Speedway racing in this league, yours truly gets excited beyond belief. As the night goes on, your entertainment going to be brought to you by Yingling Bongo Fizz, as the summer brew out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, but more than likely brewed right here in the Sunshine State. Just a quick check on our track conditions. 75 degrees the track temperature. 72 degrees if you're sitting in the stands. So this is probably the most comfortable night of the week in Daytona Beach, Florida. Of course, the birthplace of Super Speedway racing right here. Side by side here on lap number 7, drivers giving each other enough room, but they're starting to double up and organize that top line, and we're going to see some speed out of that top line as we go on here through this evening. All of a sudden, we start to see some movement here on the high side. The charge being led by none other than the 99 of Nick Hansen in his early career here. Right now, the way they run is Hanson, Allen, McConville. Mike McConville in his debut race here in the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series, brought to you by A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance. The gap right now from 1st to 11th is less than a second. From 1st to 24th is just 2 seconds. So 24 drivers running within 2 seconds of one another is insane, all things considered. But 9 laps of our 100 already in the books tonight. So pull up that race information and see where we go from here. Stage number 1 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 30. Stage 2 at the end of lap 60. As all of a sudden Bennett Allen dropping down. No, that's RP Allen dropping down in front of the rest of the field. He suddenly throws a block in front of Hanson. That opens the door for Mike McConville to get up here. He's being pushed around right now by what looks to be the 91. That's Zachary Vaughn. Vaughn getting him a good run right here as they haul it off into turn number 1. Side by side go these drivers. And from 1st back to 6th position, just a quarter of a second. So that speed blistering. In fact, let's take a look at McConville's dashboard information. 190 degrees as he leads this pack down into turn number 3. Just taking a little dip down to 184, and we're going to see all of a sudden as the 94 is going to get another push from Zachary Vaughn. As it looks like Bennett Allen may be having some connection issues. We'll take a look and see what's going on here. That's the 15. Yep, definitely some connection issues. Right now, the 96 of Ethan Ball riding the top line, the last car in this big lead pack on the high side. All of a sudden, they come up behind Tony Burt. We'll watch Tony try to avoid all of these drivers because I'll tell you what, right now, he is a sitting duck trying to stay out of the way. Right now, just looking for a place to pull into line. As he does get behind the 96, he's probably going to get a push here from that Clemson University 97. And Tony Burt now getting in here right in front of the 27 of Randall Watkins. Tony, of course, are now only car 1 lap down, so obviously he's banking on that caution to come out, or, of course, the stage break. As all of a sudden, RP Allen shoots it right here in the middle. We are 3 wide. Oh my, this is going to spell trouble if somebody flinches the wrong way. They come out of 4 into the tri-oval, and RP wisely getting into the high line. Right now it goes Wright, Minto, McConville. I'll tell you what, Mike Wright up here in his number 98 machine. That's basically his normal spot most of the time. And, of course, he's got his teammate Brandon Minto right behind him. Try to take a look at those paint schemes, as it looks like that may be an Alabama paint scheme, roll tide on the front of the 98. And it looks like Oklahoma University. Oddly enough, a fun story about Oklahoma University, the Sooners, if you will, formerly coached by Barry Switzer, Super Bowl fame, Super Bowl 30. Barry Switzer originally was looking at a young quarterback out of Henrietta, Oklahoma. And that quarterback was one Troy Kenneth Aikman. And oddly enough, he was looking at that quarterback, Troy Aikman, and realized that he had no room on his roster for him and encouraged him to go to UCLA. And, of course, the rest is history. 3 Super Bowls, Hall of Fame. And, of course, the lead analyst on Monday Night Football. Drafted in 1989 by the Dallas Cowboys. So thank you, Barry Switzer, for passing on Troy and sending him to UCLA. The field rolling out of turn number 2. Everybody's starting to kind of find their groove. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's NC State. I do apologize. I don't have a fun story about NC State, I can tell you that much. Looks like Tom McGee starting to mount a charge here as RP Allen getting a little loosey-goosey behind him. Maybe RP has a little bit too much tape on that grill. Of course, at a super speedway, that tape can really loosen up. It can put an incredible amount of speed in the car, but it can also loosen the front end of that car up. It almost feels like they're floating. 16 laps of 100, just past the halfway point here in stage number 1. As now we go single file, McGee stepping out of line again and seeing if he can go with RP Allen. Ooh, nearly made contact there. Lafreniere and the 11 of Lauren Jones. Lauren Jones all over the racetrack right now. We're going to stay right there with him and see if he can bring this bad boy back under control. You can see Lauren there in the Cheetos Toyota Supra, as he is now just behind the 96 of Ethan Ball. Looks like Tom McGee suddenly making some headway here as he's being pushed to the front of this race by none other than RP Allen, brother of last year's Monday Night NASCAR 2022 champion Bennett Allen, as Bennett right now running in 19th position with some connection issues. But a little bit of patience, and it looks like Tom McGee is being pushed all the way out front by RP Allen. Now the question becomes, does Tom McGee get out front and drop down in front of Mike Wright, or does he stay with his drafting partners that he worked with and work together with them? I mean, you know, right now at this point in the race, you want to be able to trust the people around you, you know, to be good partners, to be good competitors, and at the same time, maybe a good alliance, if you will, especially because at this stage, you're still trying to feel each other out as well as the rest of the field. Tom backing off from where he was, being pushed around by RP Allen. They've now gotten themselves 5 and now 6 cars. Whoa! What is this shooting down here to the inside? All of a sudden, the 94 and the 99 hopping out of line and falling like a pair of stones to the back of the field. I guess they've decided they know they can run up front. Now it's time to stay down. Whoa, the 01 of Matt Mackin almost tearing apart the 94. The 99 and the 94 both very much off the pace as they get in line just in front of Ethan Ball. So they will collect themselves. Side by side goes the 72 of Dan Morgan. RP Allen still out here clawing around trying to find some ground, as now in the Crayola machine, Mr. Alexander Gangler. I guess we can call these two drivers the Rainbow Warriors of the evening, as we see Alexander Gangler and Tom McGee working together. Of course, the Care Bears machine and the Crayola Chevrolet out here pushing each other around. They have our neighbor from the north, Gabriel Lafreniere, in tow. It looks, oh, Gangler just makes contact, and here we go. Oh, that'll be the end of the 8 car. Cars are skittering everywhere. We're going to run this back and take a look. My goodness, what a wreck. We can see Gangler here just behind, or just in front of Tom McGee, working the high side of the 91. He comes down and makes contact with the 91, spins him into the wall. The 91 collects the 06. And my goodness. Oh. That is not what anybody wanted to deal with today, as we're going to run this back once more. And there they go. Oh, that'll be the end of that. We're going to step aside and pay some bills right now on Sim Racing Media as we get these cameras all sorted out, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. 25 laps in the books tonight for the A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance Xfinity Series. As right now, things just getting ready to restart. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out, which means that we'll be getting ready to go back green flag racing momentarily after an early big one here, as the field's still trying to get caught up on the super speedway. When we get back green flag racing, it'll be Mike Wright, Brandon Minto, RP Allen, Jeremiah Mullins, Dan Morgan, Chris Claude, Tom McGee, Seba Cornez, John Crow, and Ron Fitting in your top 10. Getting the free pass, the lucky dog Tony Burt now works his way onto the lead lap. That'll be an interesting choice, as he's always very competitive here on the super speedways. I don't want to talk about him too much and put that broadcaster's curse on him. The iRacing.com pace car brings the field out of turn number 4. Makes that hard left turn as the man in the stand has the green flag in his hand. Mike Wright enters the Geico restart zone, stands on the loud pedal, and we're back green flag racing. Takes these cars about 2 laps to get up to full speed, so we're going to sit here and enjoy a lot of this as we get to see these cars thunder. Back under green here, about 4 laps to the conclusion of stage number 2. As we're taking a look right now at the front of this field, and Seba Cornez in the 34 machine in that Cottonelle Toyota Supra. He's pushing Tom McGee now after that last wreck caused by the number 8 of Alexander Gangler brought the race to a screeching halt after 25 green flag laps. After, forgive me, 22 green flag laps. As now Tom McGee, they're 3 wide behind him, the 14, oh my, of Jeremiah Miller. The meat in that sandwich, he is loose as a goose right now, diving back down to the safety of the low line. That does leave Lauren Jones, though, on the high side, all by his lonesome. He's waiting desperately for somebody to come up behind him. He chooses not to wait for the 89 and gets back into line, if you will, as they're still trying to duke it out back here. Meanwhile, an 8-car breakaway from Mike Wright to Chris Claude, as Chris Claude in the Little Caesars machine trying to draft up here to the rear of Dan Morgan and Aaron Mack in the 31. Of course, Aaron Mack won the event back in February here at Daytona, so obviously a driver that we need to pay attention to. A lot of guys that are strong here on the super speedways, including Chris Claude, Aaron Mack, and of course the great one, Tony Burt. Eight cars make up this lead pack, but Tom McGee is here getting ready to make some hay. Riding along with Tom McGee right now, he is drafting up alongside Chris Claude. That usually makes Chris a little nervous, and it would me too. But obviously a great run out of Tom McGee, getting pushed by the 34 of Cedar Cornez. Now this front pack starting to grow as they pick one by one up. Three wide, Tom McGee in the middle. They split back out. Oh, baby. This is going to get dicey. All of a sudden, the 95 of John Crow Sr. in the middle. It's like a giant parachute as we're under caution. Waiting to see what caused this. Oh, never mind. That's the end of stage number 1. Mike Wright wins stage 1. He's followed by Brandon Minto, Dan Morgan, R.P. Allen, Aaron Mack, John Crow, Bennett Allen, Chris Claude, Tom McGee, and Lauren Jones. Rounding out the top 10, those drivers will be awarded bonus points as we inch closer and closer to the playoffs. We're going to get a chance right now to get a hold of Mike Wright. Hey, Mike, it's Dave up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do. Hello.
Hey, man, listen, as always, welcome back to the broadcast booth. I do have to apologize. Earlier on, I thought you had the Alabama Crimson Tide on the front of your car until I got a zoomed-in view and realized it's NC State.
Ew, Alabama.
Says everybody who knows the SEC.
We're good. Yeah, so we got the Wolfpack on, local school. So I thought I'd have some fun putting them on the car for a little bit. So, yeah, pretty fun race so far. Me and Minto working together pretty well so far.
Yeah, it's always nice when you're looking. It's always nice when you look in the rearview mirror and your teammates right there behind you, you know. And I mean, you went 22 green flag laps before there was an unfortunate mishap there with Gangler and the 91. But I mean, now looking forward, are we making any adjustments to the 98? Or I know that you're kind of a mad scientist.
No, for here it's pretty straightforward. Just keep it rolling without damage, and you're usually going to be okay. So, you're kind of in a box a little bit with some things here. So, being nighttime, drives pretty good. So,
yeah, you know,
no worries on the handling.
We got on the air a little bit late as the real world wanted to come in and ruin some of my evening here. But 74 degrees the track temperature. What does that do for the grip in this racetrack?
It's hard not to have grip here, period. It seems like with these particular cars, and you make it cooler, you can do just about anything you want. So I never felt like the car was dancing around or doing something I didn't like, and I would say with the night getting a little cooler as we go, it won't get any worse. So avoid the wrecks. If you don't wreck, you're gonna have a good night for the most part.
Well, there you have it. The Ford Motor Company keys to the race: avoid the wrecks.
That's right. Go Pack.
All right, man. Listen, go Pack, and good luck the rest of the way. And by the way, tell Minto I said thank you. Thanks to his Upside sponsorship. Maybe I get a chance to talk to him later, but thanks to the Upside sponsorship, I've already started to get cash back.
There you go. Yeah, so, yeah, maybe I can push him to the stage or the win here, and you can have a little chat with him.
All right, buddy. Listen, good luck.
All right, you too.
And, of course, the great Mike Wright, who dominated so much of this league last year, who bowed out late in the season and now is going to be restarting in 4th position behind Seba Cornez, R.P. Allen, and Brandon Minto, his teammate. Well, the pace car lights are out, and it looks like Seba Cornez opting to take the low line here as he did come in for pit service. Just 6 seconds, though, which means that was probably a fuel-only stop for the 34. So, obviously, the fresh tire brigade going to be behind him. As we see, it looks like probably RP Allen maybe taking 2 tires, Minto taking 4 tires, and Mike Wright taking 4 as well, as they wanted to make sure to pack those cars with Sunoco race fuel. A little bit of tank of Go Fast there, if you will. Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, as we did get on the air a little late tonight. Unfortunately, the real world wanted to come in and try to sidewind us, but there was nothing that was going to keep this broadcaster from Daytona International Speedway or my good friends here at the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series, brought to you by A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance, as RP Allen and Seba Cornez have control of the field. The iRacing.com pace car bringing us through turn number 4, getting ready to make that hard left as the field comes by us here at our camera well. He makes that hard left turn. Seba brings the field into the Geico restart zone, hits the loud pedal, and we're back underway. Seba getting a good jump ahead of Brandon Minto, but he doesn't want to get out too far. This isn't like an intermediate or a short track, you know, where if you get out pretty far on an intermediate or a short track, you got a pretty good chance of leading for quite a while. But here, if you put too much distance between yourself and the car immediate behind you, they can lose that draft. But if they're hooked up, as Brandon Minto and Mike Wright are, they can absolutely serve you some lunch. And it looks like Minto and Wright going to do that right now to Seba Cornez, as Seba now off the pace just a little bit. He cedes away third position now to RP Allen, and it looks like Mike and Brandon are going to drop down here into the low line. They'll suddenly shut out Seba Cornez, and forming once again here in the high line is the 95. That's John Crow Sr. He's bringing along Lauren Jones, who hopefully we get a chance to talk to and make sure everything's okay down there in Florida, as well as Matt Metler, who will also be stopping in to chat with. Lauren dropping down to the apron. Maybe he was thinking about dropping back in the pack, but he's going to stay on the racing surface. All of a sudden, Tom McGee getting loose. That brings along Aaron Mack here on the high side, as they're going to work together now. Single file all the way back through the 11th position of Aaron Mack, and even further back as Jeremiah Mullins trying to hold himself up there. And, you know, it only takes about 7/10 of a second gap to form a draft. So as long as Ron Fitting holds on, he can do just that. But don't look now. It looks like Dan Morgan and Bennett Allen are going to be working together now, as that 2-car tandem. Of course, Bennett Allen suddenly with the West Virginia colors on there. Go Mountaineers. Maybe a big fan of Geno Smith, I guess, as Bennett drops out due to connection issues. But basically that lead pack, 15 cars long. Nick Hansen leads another 2-car tandem with Ethan Ball. Steve Herring and McAdoo, Pennsylvania's very own John Wilco in that Florida Atlantic University paint scheme. We'll zoom right in on him, because I'll tell you what, FAU does not get enough love, that's for sure. I was just up toward John Wilco's hometown of McAdoo, Pennsylvania. I was up in Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania over the weekend for the Schuylkill County Firemen's Convention. And I'll tell you what, that crew from McAdoo always brings the goods when it comes to convention. Their tanker, which is a type of fire truck, brought home first prize in their category as the best equipped tanker in the field this year. So always glad to tip my cap to McAdoo. Of course, also going to be working with Jim Dino in about a week now, as we're counting down to the debut on WMGH for yours truly. It looks like Mike Wright and Brandon Minto starting to work together and pull away with RP Allen. That three-car pack's not going to be very good once they put too much distance between themselves and Seba Cornez. And it looks like Tom McGee trying to maybe entice Aaron Mack. Come on, let's go high, let's go high. Every now and then we see him peek out from behind John Crow Sr. And as we get further back in this pack, you can see the 62 of John Wilco. It looks like everybody's just kind of hitting that cruise control, as even Tony Bird dropping down now to 21st position, starting from pit road. Jeremiah Mullins staying right where he wants to be. Is that a Richmond Spiders paint scheme? It is. Of course, the Richmond Spiders of the NCAA looks like they'll be hosting Morgan State and then visiting Michigan State next weekend on September 9th. So Michigan State, obviously their big game of the year, if you will. It might be big for the Spiders, but it's more of a tune-up game for Michigan State, that's for sure. Obviously, college football is in the air tonight at Daytona International Speedway. All of a sudden, side by side goes Tom McGee in the 95 of John Crow. They're starting to get a little dicey here, as they were all just pretty much happy keeping it single file. All of a sudden, even Aaron Mack looking like maybe he wants to take this thing 3 wide for reasons I can't quite explain, as McGee drifts back up in front, and now Mack looking for any type of room here, as he's going to draft right up behind McGee and maybe push McGee right past the 34 of Seba Cornez. Obviously, Mack knows that McGee has the ability to stay in line. Now, all of a sudden, John Crow stepping out of line from behind Seba. Hopefully, he's got the run it takes to get back up there to Mack. And if he does, we're going to suddenly see all kinds of speed out of John Crow. Oh! Aaron Mack and Seba Cornez make contact, but Seba stays out of trouble facing forward. Seba Cornez now being shuffled back. That's going to be frustrating, especially on your return here to the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series at Daytona. This little knot of cars here starting to get dicey. As side by side goes Lauren Jones and Matt Mackin. Mackin just in front of Bennett Allen, who once again blinks out with some connection issues. And in the draft, that's incredibly frustrating here on iRacing.com. I mean, you know, there sits behind him the 14 of Jeremiah Mullins, who did say that he was perfectly happy just riding around in 12th position. However, as he's trying to judge where Bennett is, I mean, Bennett is a very talented driver, but what can happen in situations like that is, you know, you're thinking Bennett is going to reappear one place, and it turns out he reappears, you know, maybe on your hood or something worse. So that can affect your decision-making behind the wheel here as we turn lap number 45. Working our way toward lap number 60 as Brandon Minto leads this field, followed by Mike Wright, R.P. Allen, Tom McGee, Aaron Mack, John Crow Sr., Siva Cornez, Dan Morgan, Chris Claude, and Matt Mackin. And right now, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. And we're back just as, oh my, another big wreck here. My goodness. Just as the commercial ends. Oh my. We're going to run this back and take a look and see what broke out here. We're going to take a look right here as we're going to pay attention right to the rainbow car. Well, that's frustrating. That's frustrating. So we're going to see if we can can see this way. Now we see the 47. Almost net code. I'll tell you what, we're going to run this once more. We're going to see this once again. They never make contact. Let's see if we can get this once more from our chase cam. Yeah, I'm going to have to call that on our, I would say good friend, but our terrible friend Netcode for that. As we're going to take a minute here and check in with our good friend Mr. Matt Metler here. As the Jana King number 64 comes into pit road. Let's see if we can get Matt here. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me. Mr. Metler, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me. Well, we'll check in with our other Floridian. So we're going to put him back up here. Hey, Lauren, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me.
Hello?
Hey, Lauren, it's Dave. You got me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, listen, I wanted to take a minute here. I know that you're a dedicated Floridian, of course, here from New Smyrna Beach, just a short tick away from Daytona. Is everything all right down there? How's your hurricane preparations going?
So far, now it's just a waiting game now. It's supposed to go north of us, but we're going to get, some of those bands that come, the terrible bands. But, all you can really do is be prepared and wait for it and hope the power doesn't go out during the race. But no, it's not going to be here till for a while longer. But it's definitely a little stressful, but, all you can do is wait and see what happens. We've been through enough of them.
Yeah, I guess guys like you were seasoned. You think, Cat 3, no big deal, but it looks like it may be Cat 4 before it makes landfall.
We used to think that until the last few that's come through to surprise us, and that kind of woke us up a little bit to respect them all.
Fair enough. All right, well, listen, just know that, we're praying for you. We're hoping everything's going to be all right.
We definitely appreciate that very much so, and I hope everything's going good with you as well, man.
Always, always. I'm sure I will get a chance to talk to you later this evening, but I'm going to send you on back up to Joe Gibbs and see if I can get Metler back down here.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
That, of course, Lauren Jones, driver of the number 11. We're going to try one more time here for Metler. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up here in the booth. You got me?
Dave, yes, sir. Loud and clear.
I was trying to get you a minute ago, but sure, you wanted to ignore me. I thought maybe, maybe I owed you money or something and it changed the friendship.
I didn't even hear you, brother.
Listen, tonight's entertainment is brought to you by my good friends at the Yingling Brewery and Bonzo Fizz, or Bongo Fizz, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a fancy beer from our good friends up there in Tampa. But how's everything with hurricane preparations going for you?
Hurricane preparation is good. This storm is kind of not behaving. It's hasn't been, or I should say, it's been a step ahead of the models every step of the way. It jogged a little bit more to the east today, so it's kind of lined up with the most western tip of Cuba. And she's ahead of schedule as far as intensity goes, and it looks like it's going to be right side loaded due to some wind shear. due to a trough coming down from the south, but we'll be okay.
Well, that was my first concern as soon as I understood what was going on down there. But listen, go back Green Flag Racing and go bring one home for SRM.
Yes, sir, we'll do. Try to make the most out of it here.
Absolutely. As we go back Green Flag Racing, I'm going to send Matt back up into his chat. He's going to have to listen to a little bit of play-by-play while I switch him around. But we are back under green here at Daytona International Speedway. As now I've got to move him one more time. I might have moved him to the wrong place. There we go. Obviously, we do always care about our friends and our brothers and sisters down there in Florida when we start to hear hurricane coming our way. Looks like Tom McGee going to have to get out of the way after clearing that wreck from a few minutes ago. Brandon Minto leads this piece just in front of Cody McCorkle. Trying to find where Mike Wright all of a sudden dropped all the way back here in the field. Looks like he may have been involved in that most recent wreck as it leaves his teammate here atop the pile on lap number 54. 7 to go here in stage number 2. As it goes Minto, McCorkle, Crow. Side by side goes Matt Mackin and Aaron Mack. Oh, I hate when these two get together because it's hard to say Matt Mackin, Aaron Mackin. It's a broadcaster's worst nightmare. It's almost worse than being a hockey caller. Take a look here at the 99 of Nick Hansen. He's leading this nifty little pack here of Nick Hansen, Ethan Ball, and Matt Metler, who we were just speaking to. Metler working the low side of McConville. McConville holding his own, almost having to side draft Metler just to keep in step with the 94 and the 96. As we can see Aaron Mack now being pushed all the way to the front of this piece with RP Allen in tow. All of a sudden, it looks like Mack just dropped down and abandoned RP and Bennett Allen as the Allen brothers going to work together. Whoa, easy there, big fella. As Aaron Mack went to slide back up and there was no more room up there at the end. Oh, nearly making contact, sending RP Allen up the racetrack just a little bit. That might have been netcode, as right now the iRacing.com servers are probably overwhelmed with netcode, watching all of these drivers running as close as they are. Just a half second separate first from 10th position, belonging to Zachary Vaughn with 5 to go now in stage number 1. Correction, stage number 2. As we are past the halfway point in this race, 20 cars still on the lead lap. 26 cars still turning laps as Seba Cornez and Joseph Lester have decided to put it on the hauler. Brandon Minto and Aaron Mack desperately trying to battle it out here for the lead as Aaron Mack has the control of the high side. You can see just how he's being pushed around now in that University of Minnesota number 31 Chevrolet Camaro. As RP Allen being pushed by little brother Bennett. As Bennett is pushing Preston down through the tri-oval and into turn number 1. You can see Mike Wright getting out of the way, something he wasn't expecting to happen tonight, as of course he was just saying the keys to this race, brought to you by the Ford Motor Company, were keep the car clean, and clean it is not, as he is down on power and of course in all kinds of trouble there as the field works its way by. Aaron Mack leading Brandon Minto here on lap number 58. When we cross the stripe, it'll be 59. As side by side they are all the way back through the 01 of Matt Mackin. As Mackin being pushed around by Chris Claude. Claude, who is now linked up with teammate Lauren Jones, who we had just spoken with a few moments ago. Looks like Lauren going to be working his way forward. Lauren Jones maybe grabbing a piece of apron there. Unfortunately for Bennett there in the JCTV West Virginia University Chevrolet, it may be a problem with that connection that he's going to be having. As we take a look here from our eye in the sky, the blimp he's linked up with his brother RP, as now all of a sudden drifting right up in front of him is Cody McCorkle, and Brandon Minto making the move here on the final lap of stage number 2. Brandon Minto being pushed by Cody McCorkle, an unlikely pair, if you will, as McCorkle now looks to the inside of Minto. RP coming up to give the push. They cross the start-finish line, and that will conclude stage number 2. Brandon Minto brings home the green and white checkered flag, followed by Cody McCorkle, RP Allen, Bennett Allen, Aaron Mack, John Crow Sr., Matt Mackin, Tony Burt, Chris Claude, and Lauren Jones. We're going to get a chance now to talk with Brandon Minto here. Hey, Brandon, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
I got you. So realistically, I actually enjoy driving the Chevys, but Mike's been a huge Ford guy, and he makes a lot of my paint, so I just put up with the Fords. And this week I just did the Chevy because I made the paint scheme, and I'm really lazy, and I didn't feel like having to go back and forth between changing the like the number codes and everything, or the colors for the numbers.
Trust me, I totally understand that from back in the day, trying to get my paints to be just right for each manufacturer, and that's why I pretty much stayed with just the Chevys. They're definitely easier to paint in some respects. But as you come down pit road, you made the move there on the last lap here of stage number 2. Obviously, the 12 is all tied up now. And, I mean, I got to know, how do you feel with your teammate being, you know, a wounded bird?
It's going to be tough, like, because definitely knowing having Mike behind pushing, or if I'm pushing Mike, it definitely helps having teammates, especially at Daytona, tracks like Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, anything that's this type of racing. It's great having a teammate, but I'm just hoping that I haven't pissed anybody off throughout the season, so a lot of people want to work with me, or have seen that Mike won stage 1, I just won stage 2 there, so they see that the Ferta cars have some speed, so hopefully people will want to work with us. And funny thing about that stage, I was fine pushing Aaron Mack to the win there, but then I ended up seeing Cody behind me. He started trying to make the move on me, so I was like, you know what? If he wants to go to the outside, I'll go with him, and hopefully he can push me. So it ended up working. Just looking forward to this stage 3 here. Hopefully we can have a pretty decent race here. Sounds like netcode was the big reason to take Mike out, but hopefully there's not much netcode here in stage 3.
Yeah, trust me, netcode has been interesting all night long. It almost, in some respects, it almost looks like it's bad air that's pushing guys around, and then when you watch it on replay, it turns out to be netcode. So hopefully you don't become a victim of that, but it looks like you did find a pretty good ally there in Cody McCorkle, and of course this league is always very Chevy heavy, and it looks like everybody from second position all the way back through 14th has a bow tie on the hood.
That's good to hear. especially with me being in the Chevy this week. Hopefully, if anybody's paying attention to whatever cars we're driving, they want to work with another Chevy. So hopefully that can help if I decide to try to take another run or something.
Absolutely. Well, once again, I want to thank you for pointing me toward the direction of Upside, and hopefully that gets you a little bit of credit there on the app as well.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you using the code and taking full use of all the benefits that it gives. It's a great app to download if nobody has.
Well, and just as a side note, one of the things that I think is really important about our sport is, we need to support the things that support us, and obviously if you're out there being supported by Upside, I need to do, my part, and I think we all need to do our part. When I was a kid, growing up, watching Dale Jr. when he went over to Hendrick, all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I can drink Diet Mountain Dew, why not? And as he made that transition to Nationwide and I needed car insurance, Nationwide it was. Support the things that support the things you love.
Absolutely. I'm a huge Brad Keselowski fan, so anytime I go grocery shopping, I got to make sure I grab some of those King's Hawaiian rolls. They are just delicious.
Sir. Yes, sir. But all right, my friend, well, listen, good luck the rest of the way, and maybe we'll see you in Victory Lane.
All right, I hope so.
All right, that, of course, the voice of the great Brandon Minto, driver of the number 12 Ferda Motorsports, Oklahoma University. Of course, the Oklahoma native as we get him back up into Ferda Motorsports. But, obviously supporting the home state, got to support the team. Got to support the team, as David Putty would say on Seinfeld. iRacing.com pace car lights are out once again as we're ready to get underway for stage number 3. And as we do get ready, we're going to step aside and let you folks turn it up here on Sim Racing Media. live here at Daytona International Speedway. Tony Burt up 21 positions now after starting from pit road. Has worked himself all the way up here into the race lead. The Super Speedway Whisperer is at it again here at Daytona. Of course, the surprise winner at Talladega earlier this year. Super Speedway is one of Burt's favorite style of racing. And tonight is no different, as right now he's going to be the fuel pig for R.P. Allen and John Crow Sr. And the interesting thing here in the Xfinity cars is he can try to drift back and forth and take those runs away. It's not like the next-gen car in the Cup Series, where these kind of handle like the old Cup cars. So right now it goes Tony Burt, John Crow Sr., Bennett Allen, R.P. Allen, Aaron Mack, Matt Mettler. The Florida native now drifting back. He's going to tuck in behind Matt Mack. Nope. Yeah, yep. And get a good push from Cody McCorkle. McCorkle, of course, was able to push Brandon Minto to the win after he had the stage win. Now with 30 laps to go here at Daytona. Single file all the way back through Chris Claude in 15th position and then some. As just 1.7 seconds separate first to 15th. And right now, Tony Burt in control of this race. Gets a little love tap here from the 95. That's called bump drafting for those of you at home. Bennett Allen being pushed around by Aaron Mack on the high side. Bennett Allen now being pushed out to the race lead by Aaron Mack here on lap number 73. So now it goes Allen, Burt, Crow, and obviously a whole lot can change in the blink of one eye here at this racetrack, and something, you know, that we can talk about, especially when it comes to the term "in the blink of an eye." Of course, the title of Michael Waltrip's docudrama, if you will, about the day that Dale died, and of course, February 18th, 2001, a date that will live in infamy, the day that we lost Dale Earnhardt, and oddly enough, also the same day that I watched my first race from flag to flag, and you know, it was a big day for NASCAR all around, as of course it was Fox Sports' first day broadcasting our sport. And of course, you know, Michael's entire life changed in the blink of an eye, as you know, he goes from the highest of highs to the absolute lowest of lows. And you know, a lot came out of that was very. You have to forgive me, folks. All of a sudden, I've got to clear my throat. But a lot came out of that day. You know, of course, drivers now being, you know, forced to wear the Hans device, the head and neck system, and, you know, full face pieces all the time in the race car instead of just when you feel like it. And, you know, just so much came from that safety. Whoa, easy there, Tony. A good save. Maybe Tony Burt getting a little excited as we're just about a 25 to go this time by. But, you know, of course, it also helped to develop the safer barrier, which, you know, now is common terminology in stock car racing. Bennett Allen, Brandon Minto, Aaron Mack, and Tony Burt up here, your top four. They're starting to break away now as RP Allen suddenly trying to make a go of it here on the outside. Tony thought maybe he could borrow some draft from RP and could not make it happen. Of course, right now, to be completely honest, if I was any of these drivers, I would want to keep the Allen brothers as far apart as possible. Once they get hooked up on this racetrack, things are going to start happening. I want to thank all of you for joining us on YouTube.com here on Sim Racing Media. As we are 24 to go, Bennett Allen, your race leader, all of a sudden up here, Tony Burt and John Crow Sr. trying to make a go of it. Looks like RP going to tuck back down into the 6-car pack on the low side. Now he comes up behind John Crow again, as Crow has just a little bit more of a push here on Tony Burt. Bennett Allen throwing the block in front of Tony Burt, taking that momentum away. However, that opens the door for Brandon Minto, who comes out of turn number 2 down the back chute with all kinds of speed being generated from behind him in the form of Aaron Mack. Now Aaron Mack getting door handle to door handle with Tony Burt. Tony Burt has 2 battles on his hand. Folks, this is going to get dicey coming out of 4. Tony Burt managing to survive that particular battle. And we are under caution for the 5th time tonight, the 3rd time for cause. We'll see what brought this out. As it looks like it may have been in or around the area of Dan Morgan here. We'll watch that 72 just behind Ron Fitting in the 3. They come into the tri-oval and and that was what looks like the 99. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a closer view to that. The 89, that is. The 89 belonging to Steve Herring. We'll see if we can see what happened here just underneath the starter cam. Oh, definitely not what you wanted to see there. One more look at this from our eye in the sky as we come into the tri-oval. We can see the 89 and the 72 making contact. We'll see if we can run this back, because this is going to need to be looked at, that's for sure. We'll see if we can get right here to the 89 Steve Herring from our chopper cam. And it looks like, and that could have been net code that was anticipating what happened here. But it looks like maybe a racing deal. We'll slow this down, as it looks like 2 cars just came together. The 72 gets sucked up toward the 89 as the 89 gets sucked up toward the 72. And boom goes the proverbial dynamite. Now, of course, I can't resist this interview, that's for sure. We're going to see if we can find him here. Tony Burt, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me.
I do, Dave. How are you, buddy?
Well, listen, I'm not near as good as you right now. I can never resist a chance to talk to my friends. And I'll tell you what, when I see the old 4-car creeping up here ever so slowly, Here you are running right now in second position. How you feeling?
Feel good. I knew 70 was going to be my go lap, and I waited till about 69 and a half, and I started to go, and then I got lucky. My teammate actually come out and started pushing me, so it just kind of got lucky. But once John got behind me, John Crow, and started pushing me, I knew I was golden. Then we moved around pretty good. I'm having a problem following Bennett. He's blinking so bad, so I wish they would take care of that, but it's made it difficult for sure. But yeah, no, the lot cleaner car is fast. Love super speedways, so just very fortunate.
Yeah, you are the proverbial super speedway whisperer, if you will, because I mean, look, if you've got another chance to bring home another trophy this season, it's going to be here at Daytona. That's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think this is my chance right here for sure. And I could tell you, I'm faster than Bennett. So the only way that I couldn't win this is if something happens and we get turned sideways. I really believe that.
Well, don't be jinxing that one, because at this point now you've got a fan up here in the broadcast booth, and I tell everybody, as a broadcaster, I'm supposed to be unbiased and not slanted, but this time I don't care who has to hear it. I'm pulling for you, Lauren and Chris. That's for sure.
I appreciate it. I knew you'd be excited. I was thinking about it when I started shooting up through there. I thought this has got Dave excited, I'm sure.
Oh, trust me. I'm sitting here bouncing in my seat waiting to see what happens next.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As long as it doesn't get crazy, I think we're good to go.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way, and maybe we'll see you in victory lane.
Sounds good, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
That, of course, the great Tony Burt, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer at a Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance. Proud sponsor here of the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series live on Sim Racing Media. As we get reset, Ben and Allen going to have control of the field. Tony Burt going to sit on the outside of row number one. Brandon Minto, RP Allen, Gabriel Lafreniere, Matt Mackin, Chris Claude, Lauren Jones, John Wilco, and Rich Jett make up your top 10. Folks, we've got 19 laps to go, and the race has not even begun yet. You're going to start to see some of these drivers who really focus on the super speedways, start to have some success here. Tony Burt being one of them. Chris Claude and Lauren Jones still in it here. Matt Mackin, of course, in the 01. And Matt Mettler hasn't made the move yet, but he's running in 16th position, up 6 from where he had started. And I believe we're going to start to see a lot of these drivers try to make their march to the front. The iRacing.com pace car peels off down pit road. Ben and Allen hits the loud pedal, and we're back underway. Tony Burt tucking in right behind Brandon Minto. He's going to be pushed along by Matt Mackin, as we're going to see that little 4-car split kind of break away from the rest of the field here to get things started. Lauren Jones, though, he's waiting with bated breath in the wings as our neighbor from the north, Gabriel Lafreniere, leads the charge on the outside line. Leads the charge on the outside line with Chris Claude just behind him. All of a sudden, John Crow Sr. looking for any kind of room that he can. Ding dong, the bottle of water has been delivered to the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth. Much appreciated. As, even the best of us eventually run out of, wet for the whistle, if you will. Of course, those of you that don't understand the ding dong, check out the Philadelphia Phillies television broadcast every night of the week. And you can see whatever exciting food usually gets delivered to Tom McCarthy and John Kruk. And I'll tell you what, Krucker had quite a famous, let's just say, appetite back in the day, kind of for beer, burgers, and cigarettes. As wide we go, Tony Burt holding on to the middle. He's looking for anything. This has him all kinds of loose. The 11 makes contact with the 95. We stay green as the 11 and the 95 make contact. Tony Burt being shuffled back to fifth position. Tightens it back up. He knows he's faster than Bennett Allen, and if Bennett Allen is faster than Brandon Minto, that means that Tony Burt's got a car to bring home the checkered flag tonight. As I'm sure that Heather is cheering him on at home. It goes 12, 15, 01, 95, 7, 4, 11. That whole group, as the Allen brothers have found one another. That's something I told you folks a few minutes ago that you didn't want to see. Once Bennett and RP get, whoa, easy Tony, coming out of 4. Once Bennett and RP find one another, it's only a matter of time before they make something happen. As right now, RP pushing Bennett past race leader Brandon Minto. That shuffles Minto back to 3rd and the Allen brothers into 1 and 2. Watching this high line get a run is becoming kind of exciting if you think about it. As we take a look, we can see that high line getting the momentum that they need, but the low line is what they're all hungry for. The low line, of course, fastest around the track. It's the shortest distance. But right now, Tony Burt being shuffled back into 8th position. That leaves the Allen brothers running 1 and 2 with Brandon Minto in tow. $14 to go as Bennett and RP Allen lead this piece. In the A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance Xfinity Series live on Sim Racing Media, want to thank you for joining us here from our broadcast booth in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Whoa, whoa! All kinds of mess starting to happen back here around Tony. They managed to sort it out. But Matt Mettler now up into 6th position. Matt Mettler deciding to hook onto the coattails of Cody McCorkle in his debut race here in the Xfinity Series, as McCorkle getting a push from Mettler. We're going to see Mettler take another stab at this, I'm sure, with 13 to go. Bennett Allen, John Crow Sr., RP Allen, and Cody McCorkle, your top 4. They're all out here looking for any kind of way to get around this racetrack and away from the rest of the pack. Matt Mettler has crawled up into 6th position now. And Chris Claude back in the 15th position. Nick Hansen in 10th in the 99. And with 12 to go, some of these drivers still may need to consider coming down pit road, including Bennett Allen, who hasn't been down since lap number 61. In fact, both Allen brothers not being down since 61, as well as Brandon Minto. And I don't know if they've got the fuel to make it there. Maybe a caution coming out here will save them that fuel, but that may cost them track position. As most of those drivers up front came down on lap number 80, they should have enough to go the distance, as we're here with 11 to go now. As now we're going to play the fuel strategy game, that's for sure. Watching the field come past Lake Mead, they navigate around the lap car of Mike Wright. We see them coming into turn 3 and 4, and here comes the thunder. Coming through the tri-oval, the Allen brothers have control of the field. Going 1-2, Bennett on the high side, RP on the low side. RP getting a push from Brandon Minto. Bennett being pushed along by John Crow Sr. They've kind of put themselves behind a wall here, as Bennett is going to try to control this field the old-fashioned way, drifting back and forth from the high side to the low side. As soon as he starts to see the high side get a run, he drifts up, but this time he may have opened the door a little bit too late. We'll see as the low side going to come into play now. He's going to get a push from John Crow Sr. coming through the tri-oval with 9 laps to go now. We may see him now as they come into one, drift down in front of brother RP. No, he stays high. Taking a look back through the field to find where Tony Burt went. He's all the way back to 15th position now, as he last came down on lap 61, so there may be some issues there. Right now, some of these drivers desperately hoping for that all-important caution to come out late here. Of course, we don't want it to come out too late and take away some of the shootout that we'll see at the end, as the 95 giving a push to the 15. Crow pushing Bennett, as Brandon Minto pushing RP. All of a sudden, the alliances are starting to really make themselves known here. You know, I mean, a lot of these drivers, they don't get a chance to race against each other or with each other. So, you know, at an intermediate track, you might see somebody throw a block in front of somebody who's not their teammate. But at a place like Daytona, you're basically looking for anybody who can help you get that edge and get up over the hump. As we come into 3 and 4 once again, we can see exactly what's starting to unfold here. All the way back here at Chris Claude in 14th position. He's got Tony Burt behind him, but a lot of distance between Burt and Lauren Jones and Chris Claude. With now 7 laps to go, that may have been the opportunity that they all missed, as the Allen brothers have control. A little bit of a shuffle festival behind them. That's the 64 of Matt Metler, as Metler looking for his first win here in the Xfinity Series on Monday Night NASCAR. Of course, Matt Metler, one of the fantastic broadcast voices that you can hear every Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern, as they bring you SNN Cup Series action right here on Sim Racing Media. When I say they, I also mean the great one, the wonderful wizard of words, Mr. Tony Trapasso. As we've got 6 laps to go. Of course, if you like hanging out with Tony and Matt on a Sunday night, you can hang out with me on a Monday or a Tuesday, as we have, of course, the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series. And then Tuesday nights, we have the Jack Dow Simulators and Esports iRacing.com Truck Series live here on Sim Racing Media. With 6 laps to go, though, our focus tonight going to be on the B cars. Wow! RP Allen just dropped down right in front of Brandon Minto, effectively closing the door on another run, as the Allen brothers have decided they are just going to do nothing but block for one another. Bennett having full control of the top line, RP having full control of the low line with 5 to go. Do these drivers have enough to make it to the end? 40 laps on a set of tires and fuel is a long way here at Daytona International Speedway. Of course, the world center of racing, the birthplace that is all things restrictor plates, and of course, drafting right here in Daytona. And I mean, you know, our sport was born here on the sands of Daytona Beach. This place is hallowed ground, and it doesn't matter whether you win in the Cup Series, in the Xfinity Series, or the trucks. To bring home a trophy that says Daytona on it is something special. And oh my, nearly a disaster back here in the pack with Matt Metler and Matt Mackin. They managed to hold it together. Nick Hansen running in 7th position right now. He's just waiting with bated breath for somebody to make a mistake. 4 to go now, as RP and Cody McCorkle. Oh, RP gets turned into the wall. We're on the backstretch. The entire field is wrecking on the backstretch with 4 laps to go. RP Allen sideways through the grass. Bennett Allen sideways through the grass. Everything is now shuffled. And we are going to go NASCAR overtime. We stayed green. We stayed green. Somehow we managed to stay green. NASCAR opting not to throw the flag with 3 to go now. They're 3 wide behind Brandon Minto. They're going to have to form up real fast to be able to catch Minto. As Minto, Mack, and Hansen just broke away from the mayhem. Obviously a progressive commercial in the making. That shuffles Chris Claude up into 7th position. And I'll tell you what, if there's any time to get aggressive, Chris, this is the time. All of a sudden, Aaron Mack running in 2nd position behind Brandon Minto, towing along Nick Hansen. As we come out of 4, we come into the trioval. The popsicle sticks are in the air. 2 to go. John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, following Rich Jett in the double natural. A couple of Pennsylvania boys trying to make some kind of move here on the outside. This is where we're going to start to see the shuffling. That absolutely should have brought out the caution. Rich Jett swinging to the outside of the 99. He's looking for an open door. The 99 throws the block there, but it's almost like a pick as that draws the attention away from John Wilco. John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, working his way onto the podium tonight. As the white flag goes in the air, the popsicle sticks are down, and we're racing back to checkers. Side by side go John Wilco and Nick Hansen, as Hansen right now letting Wilco have the best of him coming out of turn number 2. We still have a long way to go in this race as they are side by side. We can see Wilco being pushed along by fellow Pennsylvanian Rich Jett in the double natural. The 62, the 99, and the 77 all vying for that 3rd step on the podium. Oh, they wreck behind him. That shuffles Chris Claude into 6th position. Gabriel Lafreniere is sideways, and as we come back to the checkered flag, we're in the trioval. Brandon Minto wins the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series race here at Daytona International Speedway. He is followed by Aaron Mack and McAdoo, Pennsylvania's very own John Wilco. What a finish to this race, folks. Oh, you almost need to take a breath after that one, because I'll tell you what, the last 10 laps of this piece have been absolutely incredible as Brandon Minto battles it out here. What should have been a caution flag turns into a green flag run. And as we come across the stripe, it's Brandon Minto, Aaron Mack, Rich Jett, Nick Hansen, Chris Claude, Cody McCorkle, Tony Burt, Matt Mackin, and Ethan Ball rounding out your top 10. Brandon, it's Dave up here in the booth. You got me.
I got you, Dave.
Man, what a finish to this race. I mean, it could have been so much different if the caution flag would have flown, but it didn't, and you wound up watching the checkered flag fly over the number 12. How are you feeling tonight, my man?
Oh, I'm feeling about as lucky as can get. Like, it feels like every single wreck that happened with, like, the lead pack group was right outside of me, and I was just somehow able to avoid it.
Look, your teammate said earlier, you know, the Ford Motor Company keys to the game were keep it clean. And with the exception of a little crinkle dinkle there on the rear, you managed to keep the 12 as clean as could be in a night like this. I mean, what a finish, man. How are you, how white were the knuckles on the wheel?
It was pretty bad. To be honest, like I was grabbing this wheel about as hard as I could, especially with like when Bennett and RP were leading the inside and outside lane, and then I was afraid they were trying to like back up the field so that way they knew they were leading both lanes, so it was gonna be hard for anybody to make a run, so that way one of them could get the win. But then with them constantly changing lanes, and I don't know what ended up happening there with like 3 to go. I just saw RP go up top, and then I just stayed on the gas pedal, and then out of my rear view, I just saw all mayhem happening. I thought a caution was going to come out, but it never did. And then Aaron Mack, props to him for, I was about 2 or 3 seconds ahead of everybody behind that wreck, and then he didn't make the run on me that he had. He just stayed in line. I think he was waiting for like a last lap move, but he just stayed in line with me. That helped me out very much, because I know if he would have made a run to the outside, then everybody else behind would have followed. So that allowed me to stay up front and not fall back to like P10 or however many cars there were left right there at the end. And then just a little bit of rear view driving there at the end, and then Aaron not doing anything too crazy. So that definitely helped out a lot.
Look, Darrell Waltrip said, if you're at Daytona, you almost have to have one eye looking out the windshield and the other eye looking at that rearview mirror. And obviously, you mastered that tonight. I mean, what a race, what a finish. And I agree with you. They probably should have thrown the caution, but NASCAR opting not to, which, turned out to benefit you anyway. I mean, rather than bunch everybody up and then you have to hold off so many people, it was almost a blessing in disguise, so to speak. I mean, I mentioned it several times that keeping the Allen brothers apart was the only way that anybody else was going to have a shot at this win. And obviously you were able to do that tonight. I mean, how hard is it racing against a pair of brothers like the Allens?
It's very tough, especially like Bennett last year. I've had many talks with Bennett. Last year, he was kind of all over the place. I would always tell him, like, dude, you are super fast. You qualify like top 3, 4 almost every single week, but then he always puts himself in a bad position, which is like that coaching kind of turned back to hurt me a little bit throughout this season with how well he's been running. He has a few wins on the season because he actually took that to heart. So he's been a lot cleaner this year. And then just his brother, RP, just them working together. Like, I don't know how much of what I told Bennett passed down to RP or not, but the one thing I just didn't like that Bennett was doing was constantly changing lanes, even though he knew I was giving him some of the best pushes he had all night. I was hoping he was going to stay in front of me. But then whenever he eventually made the move to the outside line, it checked up that outside line, and that allowed me to get the lead probably 15 to go or something around there. And
yep.
Yeah, it was just wild, especially if it's Talladega. 3 wide is a very easy thing to do, but Daytona, you can do 3 wide, but it takes a lot more thought. And seeing how a lot of the cars around up at the lead pack weren't able to hold as steady of a line, I knew if anybody tried 3 wide, it was going to be a S show. I want to be a little PG, but I'm just glad that whatever happened. Unfortunate for everybody who raced a clean race all the way up until the end, but it benefited me, so I'll take it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, as always, before we cut you loose, who do you need to tip your helmet to tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Mike for stage 1 and 2, having a good run together with him, and then Netco taking him out. That's unfortunate. Like, he still stuck it out, and whenever the lead pack was coming, he always stayed high, so made things easy for us with him being a lap car and everything. It's just unfortunate. I was hoping we could get a 1-2 finish for Ferda. I want to thank my parents for tuning in. They watch every single week. My Uncle Scott tuning in. My brother, his family all the way out there in Germany. And then, once again, Upside. We talked about it at stage 2. I want to thank Upside for being, well, it's not on my car tonight, but one of my big sponsors this year. It gives you bunch of discounts on gas and everything, and a lot of like groceries, convenience, all that stuff. So if you haven't already, download the Upside app and then use the promo code Brandon5623344. It'll give you a discount on your first tank of gas. And then Mike, you, always put on a great broadcast. I'm definitely looking forward to go back watching this one, and then with OU being on the hood this week, I always gotta say Boomer Sooner.
Yeah, man. Listen, as soon as I saw it, I had to tell the Barry Switzer story about him telling the pride of Henrietta, Oklahoma, "Hey, listen, kid, I don't have room on my roster. You're going to have to go to UCLA." And of course, that came in the form of the great Troy Kenneth Aikman. So, a fellow Sooner for you, and congratulations.
All right, I appreciate it, Dave.
All right, that of course our race winner, Mr. Brandon Minto, who brings home the checkered flag tonight in the number 12 Oklahoma University Chevrolet Camaro. Gonna look and see where we can find our second place finisher tonight. And unfortunately, I don't see Aaron Mack in our live chat, so that's unfortunate. However, that does bring up the great John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania. Hey, John, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Dave. How you doing, sir?
Hobot, listen, you decided to come up here and get the third step on the podium. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling excited. It was such a great race. I tell you that, man. 10 laps, 4 laps to go. I'm like, nope, that's it. We're getting 17th.
Man, and you thought making the run up Hometown Hill at rush hour was tough.
Try doing that in the wintertime, I tell you that.
I once got stuck on 209 going into Hometown, and I wound up having to back down the hill. I mean, listen, you had that car all kinds of cranked up. I mean, you know, here's the thing. You come to Daytona, and it's a wild card race a lot of times because dumb things can happen late in the race. You know, obviously you came out the beneficiary of some of the dumb things, but, you know, take us through trying to get through that traffic in the Ford.
I tell you what, I couldn't have done it all without Rich and Steve. Those guys kept me calm the whole race, and we just had a plan. We're just gonna kind of just be safe, and see what happens. And it was like 5 to go, and I'm like, Rich, we got to do something. He's like, no, just stay there. And then all of a sudden, when all the heck broke loose, it was like, that's it, no more, we're going.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I used to have Bob Nestor in my ear all the time when we would race, and, you know, it came to a point where it was almost like I was a dog on a leash, and he'd try to tug that leash a little bit harder, but when it got late like that, I'd run away from him and somehow make some kind of a dumb decision. But you made all the right decisions tonight, man. I mean, you know, you and Brandon managed to bring home, you know, two-thirds of this podium in fine fashion. And, I mean, you know, Aaron Mack, who won the event back in February, of course, here on the podium as well. I mean, you know, now what are you looking forward to as we get ready to move forward into next week? And, of course, now I got to pull up our points here. Hang on. Come on, computer, move a little faster. Next week we move down into Darlington, so a different style race, that's for sure. How do you feel about Darlington, especially trying to boogie around that oddly shaped track?
I know that we struggled last time we were at Darlington. We did finish, you know, so it's always a tight one in there. And the main goal is just kind of like tonight, just try to finish the race without, you know, all the damage, and, you know, because the wall comes out and gets you really quick at Darlington. So if we can just come home with a solid finish and just keep going. I don't know if we have any shot in the points or anything like that. I know it's close, but we're gonna give it all till we can no longer give it.
Well, speaking of the points, I mean, this moves you into a really interesting position. You're in 12th right now, and after tonight's finish ahead of, well, Joseph Lester finishing dead last tonight, that's going to move you up into a pretty comfy position for the playoffs. I mean, I think you should just about be in, you know, as long as you have a good run next week at Darlington. So things looking interesting for the 62 team. And before I forget, make sure that you start tuning in to WMGH next Tuesday, as yours truly is going to be the voice of news and information.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be awesome. I will put it on the calendar.
I mean, look, Dave Regal, Polka Joe, it's all going to be happening right there up in McAdoo and Lansford.
Oh, man, the Pennsylvania Polka watched it all the time.
On WVIA, buddy. Listen, congratulations. Who do you need to thank for this run tonight?
Well, first off, I got to thank you guys for an awesome, amazing broadcast. We appreciate everything you guys do. There's so much behind the scenes. Same thing there. We appreciate Chris, everything he does for this league. I mean, and I know it's a lot of work, and so we appreciate all them. After that, I got to thank my wife and my two teammates, Mr. Herring, Mr. Jed. I mean, those guys are awesome, and we couldn't do it without them.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations again, and we will see you next week at the Lady in Black, Darlington.
We will be there. Great night. Thank you so much, Dave. It's so awesome. I'm having a great time. Party at my house.
All right, listen, Yingling is flowing already in my veins, so I'll see you tonight.
I'll be there. Take care, sir.
All righty. That, of course, the voice of John Wilco, driver of the number 62 Ford Mustang, finishing third tonight on our podium as we weren't able to get Aaron Mack here for an interview. So hopefully we can get a chance maybe to talk to him next week at Darlington as we get ready to head to the Lady in Black in Darlington, South Carolina. Of course, a classic NASCAR track. And I mean, looking at our schedule moving forward here, we've got next week being probably the hardest racetrack, for the rest of the season as we go to Darlington next week and then Kansas for the regular season finale on September 11th. Then we open the playoffs at Bristol for Bristol night racing. It's Bristol, baby. And then we go to Texas for round 2 of the playoffs. But, that top 12 is looking pretty good right now, pretty comfortable for John Wilco and several other drivers as we're going to get a chance to see that playoff picture come into focus next week. Obviously Eugenio Alonso, who has not run the last several races, he keeps tumbling backwards through our standings. He led this league for so long and, of course, is now all the way back in 4th. Chris Claude up in 6th position as we came into tonight. And John Wilco on that bubble spot probably just, sealed the deal as long as he does have a good run next week at the Lady in Black, Darlington, South Carolina. I want to take one final look tonight at our results from this piece here in beautiful Florida as the sands of Daytona Beach, where our sport was born, just a few blocks away. Brandon Minto brings home the checkered flag, and he is joined on the podium by Aaron Mack, who won the Daytona race back in February here in the league. Then John Wilco rounds out your podium in 3rd position from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, racing for All Smiles Racing. His teammate Rich Jett finishing in 4th, Nick Hansen in 5th, Chris Claude in 6th, Cody McCorkle finishing in 7th position. Tony Burt, Matt Mackin, and Ethan Ball round out the top 10. Gabriel Lafreniere finishes 11th and is followed by Mike McConville in his Xfinity Series debut tonight in 12th position. R.P. Allen, after that unfortunate incident here toward the end of the race, finishes in 13th, with Jeremiah Mullins in 14th. Bennett Allen again affected at the end of the race, finishing in 15th position. New Smyrna Beach, Florida's very own Lauren Jones finishing in 16th, taking the Cheetos machine here into the top 20. Alexander Gangler finishes in 17th position with John Crow Sr., Ron Fitting, and Randall Watkins rounding out your top 20. Finishing in 21st is Dan Morgan and Matt Metler in 22nd. Mike Wright finishes 23rd as Steve Herring and Zachary Vaughn finish 24th and 25th. 28th belongs to Tom McGee as Seba Cornez making his return to the A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance Xfinity Series, finishing in 27th. And last but certainly not least in our hearts here at Sim Racing Media, the boy king Joseph Lester finishing in 28th after just 21 laps before being taken out by an unfortunate circumstance early on in this race. But folks, once again, this league does nothing but surprise us. They put on a great show every week, and tonight here at the World Center of Racing was absolutely no different. So for myself, Dave Regal, here in the broadcast booth, and everybody else at Sim Racing Media, I want to thank you for making us a part of your evening, because without you folks at home watching, we wouldn't have anything to do on a Monday night. And I want to let all of you know that tomorrow, as you go through your day, remember that you're special, you're unique, you're the only one like you, and that's fine. Good night, everybody.